Hey guys, you connected?
Thank you.
Hi, Lee.
Hi, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, yeah. Home after a trip round the UK and a brief one in Europe.
Are you okay just to roll with this? Just it's just a chat. It's not a heavy interview or anything like that, yeah?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, lovely. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased and very privileged to welcome the legend that is Captain Sensible. How you doing, sir?
Oh, not too bad, yeah. We just finished a trip round Europe and Britain, and I started putting my feet up. It gets a bit tiring when you get to a certain age.
I bet it does. Well, I know it does, but that's another story. Now, you have got a brand new album, Darkadelic, from which we've been playing The Clown, Beware of the Clown. How did the album come about? Was it something that you just thought, hey, it's about time we did another album?
I think everyone who can put a few chords together and strum a guitar wrote a lockdown album during those 2 years of the pandemic, and so that, you know, we accumulated a bunch of tunes, and obvious decision was to head to a studio and record them, really. We decided to do something a little bit different this time, and tinge it with like a spot of psychedelia, which was a style we first approached in the 80s with an album called Strawberries. It's just a nice mixture, you know, a bit of punk, a bit of goth, and a bit of psych. So that's the way we went on this one.
Now, you started out in the 70s. 76, the band were formed. And surprisingly enough, most of the original members are still there, which is incredible, really.
Yeah, you wouldn't have bet on that, would you? In 1977, 78, the chaos years, I call them, when all the stupid stuff imaginable we did, and amazing to tell the tale. You know, some of my brain cells are definitely gone because I adhered to the rock and roll lifestyle for about 20 years, and that's over and above the Call of Duty, I think.
Yeah, it is. Way beyond. Now, the band has a particular sound, which I guess is down to David Vanian and his voice. But also the lyrics are very specific, aren't they? Yeah,
it's great to, you know, as a songwriter, to have someone like Dave singing tunes that you've written. You know he's going to always come up with a performance. In fact, he acts the lyric, you know, rather than sings it. And sometimes people think, they say, who is that singing that particular song on the album? You know, so it's Dave. It doesn't sound like him, but it's because he's in character. That's the way he does it. You know, on Eloise, every night on stage when he sings that song, he actually drops down to his knees and acts out that line. You know, I'm on my knees for Eloise. You know, he should have been an actor.
Yeah, do you know, that's one of my favourite tunes. I love that tune. But anyway,
it's just epic, isn't it?
Yes.
They cram so much into 2.5 minutes. Epic is the word.
Now, the band, The Damned, I mean, they have a huge following, not just in Europe and not just in the UK, but all the way around the world, don't they?
Well, we're lucky enough to have an audience to come and see us, which enables us to tour. There's far better guitar players than I, you know, that don't have that luck to be able to like tour the world. But there you go, they weren't in The Damned in 1977, were they? It was the right place at the right time.
The album you mentioned there, Strawberries, and also the other one, Phantasmagoria. I don't know why I'm going to say that. They turned into absolute classic albums, haven't they?
Not for me to say, but people seem to like them, and each album's got its own flavour, hasn't it? Strawberries is very different from Phantasmagoria, and obviously, you know, a million miles away from what Damned was in '77, which upset so many people at the time. That's the funny thing about that album, because Whispering Bob Harris was on the whistle test, you know, playing lots of country rock, and easy listening kind of middle of the road stuff, and we really shook them up. And not everyone liked it, of course. You know, in '76, I used to get chased down the road by whole pubs would turn out and say, "Look, there's a punk rocker. Let's have him." And
Yes.
I got very good at running, actually.
Do you still feel that punk sort of feeling, if there is such a thing as a punk feeling? Do you still feel, you know...
Yeah, punk is a bit of a philosophy, really. It says kind of think for yourself, and you know, if you're interested in music or football or, you know, acting or art or whatever it is, you know, do it yourself. Buy some brushes and do some painting, or, you know, if you like football, buy a ball and, you know, go to the park and have a kickabout. The same with music. You don't necessarily have to listen to Johnny Rotten or myself or, you know, or the Stranglers. Just learn 3 chords and do it yourself. It's easy peasy, and yeah, it's blooming good fun. But stop watching the TV, turn it off, and
Yes.
put a band together. That's punk rock.
Do you feel that Beware of the Clown was actually as politically motivated as some people seem to think?
Well, it does. It's not. You know, I mean, I'm of the persuasion now, at my ripe old age, that whoever you vote for is going to be a disaster anyway. So I see the right and the left as 2 cheeks of the same arse.
Yeah.
So Boris, you know, absolutely useless. Liz Truss. I mean, and before them, you know, I remember Tony Blair taking us to war instead of renationalising the railways, as he promised in the you know, in the manifesto. So yeah, they're all liars, and that's what the song says. You have to beware of the clown, and once you get rid of the clown, there's always another one waiting in the wings to take over. That's the way it seems to me.
I've got to ask you, Happy Talk. Is it a millstone, or do you still love that song?
Well, I don't know if we'd be having this conversation without it. It's kind of opened doors for me, and people know who Captain Sensible is. I mean, you know, ordinary Ray Burns from Croydon, the former toilet cleaner. You know, there wasn't much mileage in that, so yeah, it's been good for me, Happy Talk, and thankfully I haven't had to go back to that job that I just mentioned. And that's, you know, my idea of success is, you know, not having to work for a living. So there you go.
Now, when the band are not touring, are you still recording? Are you still writing? I'm trying to get to the point that, are the bands still, you know, sort of like all fresh and exciting and really want to do stuff again?
Well, I think after the pandemic, the brakes were off, and you know, it seemed like everyone wanted to get out on the road again and tour. And why not? You know, because live music, if you know, a lot of venues went actually during those 2 years because they were still paying rent. And I mean, we know the bands and the artists, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. The support to enable live music is, you know, huge. So you know, we lost a lot of that infrastructure. That's a big word for me, isn't it? So yeah, the brakes were off, and you know, I couldn't wait to get back on stage again and make that horrible noise.
Do you still get the same buzz from getting on stage? You know, when you're performing live, do you still get that real sort of, oh yeah? Or has it got a bit sort of,
yes.
Here we go.
Well, you see, you know, when you're at home and you're sort of twanging away on the guitar, you can't really crank it up to, you know, blitzkrieg levels. Well, you know, without upsetting the neighbours, basically. But as soon as you're on stage, and that noise is just so euphoric and it's exciting. So yeah, it does really gets you going, and the material as well. So you can't play a song like New Rose or Neat Neat Neat. You know, those old, you know, first album classics. You can't play them without getting excited. And people in cover bands, people who do damn cover versions, I mean, they'll tell you the same thing. It's pretty exciting material to have a blast at.
Yeah, you can't do it and sort of sit down. It's all out or nothing, isn't it? Now, you were at the start of things like Stiff Records. Stiff Records were, certainly in my mind, a real sort of almost archaic type of record label. They weren't the EMIs, they weren't the Parlophones, they weren't all those. No, there was something sort of slightly subversive about that. Did you feel that yourself?
Yeah, it was that DIY punk philosophy, There wasn't a lot of indie labels before punk, and there was so many of them after 76, 77. Punk changed a lot of stuff. It enabled those things to flourish, and also it changed comedy. We got anarchic comedy like the Young Ones, and the Bernard Mannings and Jim Davidsons were a thing of the past pretty much. After 77, so it changed a lot of stuff. Despite it looked a bit rough, and the dancing was fairly aggressive. And there was a spot of spitting to start with, but
yes.
But overall, I think the scales weigh heavily in favour of punk. It was a great moment for Britain.
Yeah, we've got a punk band here that are called the Wasps, who go right the way back, and it's great fun seeing them. I mean, they've still got that. I don't want to say. Yeah, it is aggression, isn't it? It's that sort of feeling of just being on the edge, and that's what I think you were saying, that there is that feeling to punk, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a great way of expressing yourself. If you got to be in a bonnet about something, and everyone should at the moment, because things are so stupid in politically and culturally in Britain. So there's plenty of choice for lyrical topics, really, isn't there?
Absolutely. Now, you've just completed the tour, I guess. Have you got much longer to go before you actually have to start touring again, or is this tour going to continue?
Yeah, well, we've done tentative kind of foray into Europe and the UK, which lasted about 5 weeks. I believe I haven't looked at the list because I don't generally want to know. I don't want to see a big list of places I've got to go. But I think they're sending us to Australia and the States and all over the place.
Oh, goodness.
This year. So, so there you go. Cracking the whip, and we'll have to go out and make that horrible noise all over again.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Listen, thank you so much for your time. All the best with Darkadelic and the tour, wherever it may take you. And we'll keep playing Beware of the Clown until another track comes along, and then we'll play that.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I think Dave's got the next single. You're going to realise it's called. Yeah, it's a little bit darker than the Clown song, so as you'd expect from the Prince of Darkness.
That's a good description. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Thank you so much, Captain. I'm saluting as I say
Cheers,
that.
Lee.
And we'll speak again, hopefully.
Not half pot pickers.
Thanks, mate. Take care. Was that okay for you?
Yeah, brilliant. Good on you. Yeah. I did love Fluff Lehman. I mean, he's just so important to my generation. Just inspired me, so much.
He was one of those characters, wasn't he? Alan Freeman. Loved him.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was nice to meet as well. Unlike, well, without going into the roster of Radio 1 DJs, but he was particularly nice, Fluff. He was a little bit scared of us when we met. He said, "Oh, you're not going to beat me up, are you?"
Well, there was that feeling, wasn't there?
We said, "No, Fluff, we love you. You're so important." Picking the Pops is just mega in everyone from my generation's psychosis, whatever.
Yeah. All right, mate. Well, look, thank you once again. I really appreciate the chat, and all the best for the future.
Yeah, cheers, Lee. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye now.